Greetings and welcome to Growth Hacking Secrets. I'm your host, Muhammad Siddique from Atlanta, Georgia, and the co author of New Success Secrets available on Amazon. On this episode, we have a special guest, Jason Baudendistel. Jason is the host of Broken Unicorns podcast. Please join me to give a warm welcome to our guest, Jason Baudendistel. Jason, welcome.
Hello, Sadiq. It's an honor to have a chance to speak with you today. And I'm glad to have a chance to chat and tell you guys a little bit more about my story and my projects.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. First of all, I want your insurance. Make sure, did I pronounce your name right? The last one, last name?
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. I've heard a lot worse. Fortunately, I have one of those names that isn't too easy. So,
So, Jason, where were you? What happened? Who you were surrounded with that inspired you to get started with your podcast, Broken Unicorns?
actually, podcasting was a more recent thing that I've gotten into in about the last year or so. First, I started involved. I got home from the military and I actually started my first project. It was a indie record label called Board Student Records. From there, worked with a handful of somewhat well-known acts, including artist that wrote a song for CeeLo Green called Oh Hush and the Dolly Rots.
Mhm.
Uh, got involved with software from there, co-founded a software company called Dan Activity that had a buyout offer on the table.
Mhm.
Eventually got into a couple other software projects, and then life happened, took a little bit of a break, got back on the horse, and then I got into the new project, which is media enterprise called Webbits Incorporated, and Broken Unicorns podcast is basically part of Webbits' commitment to providing a variety of entertainment to as many people as possible on the web. Uh, Podcast is focused on providing both business insight as well as using humor, and we've got several episodes already on both radio.com as well as uh, Audio Boom, and I believe Spotify, if I remember correctly.
Mhm. Wonderful. So you are a true serial entrepreneur. You cannot stick to one thing. Huh? You're always looking for
So
the next exciting thing.
originally, I was going to stay in software, and then I media I feel is online media, especially I feel is still in that techie type space, and so I've always been a computer person. Really, with the exception of the record label, everything I've ever done has always been kind of computer related.
Mhm.
So basically, you put a computer in front of me, I'm in good shape. You drop me in the woods with just my wits, and I'm probably in trouble. So everybody's wired differently.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Jason, so you have done so many projects and from A to B to C and all that you just shared with us. I'm sure you learned a lot from all those. So we are going to ask few questions based on what we can learn from your experience. So here's my follow-up question to that is, what are the top three missteps or mistakes to avoid when you are getting into a project, starting a new venture, basically?
I would say the biggest things that you need to know are what is going to be your strategic marketing focus. You want to make sure that you have a clear path to reaching your target market.
Mhm.
If you're bootstrapping, you want to have at least some type of capital or an avenue to fuel low budget growth. So I'd say that actually fits best as the second one. The third one is going to be talent acquisition, which can be a real challenge, especially when bootstrapping, because you would have to find people that are willing to work for most likely little, if anything. And those people, you're probably going to have to sell them on being passionate about the project and about the future payout. And so that's always a challenge to do the balancing act between selling people on the vision and getting them to accept more modest pay, because a lot of people are not going to necessarily jump at that.
Mhm. So, can I ask a follow-up question on the last one? By doing that on a modest pay and some uptake in the future, the growth of the company, some shape, you know. So don't you lose many excellent talent in that process too?
That is a great question and also a real challenge is you're not going to get a lot of the top tier people unless they are looking for a challenge or they're willing to take that risk because uh, they can make six figures with a lot more security. So that's
Yeah.
going to be the balancing act of trying to get the best talent possible while trying to keep the budget, while trying to balance your limited budget. So it's definitely
Wonderful.
a nuance to it. You need to understand how to communicate that vision and sell it to people as something that they want to be a part of. And then from there, as you grow and as you spend time, you eventually involve equity, or it can even be part of the initial conversation. And then
Understood.
that can be part of your incentive is basically the early employees are getting treated like partners in exchange for helping you to build.
Mm. Yeah, wonderful. Mm. This is great. So, what are your top three success secrets based on your own accomplishments of your projects?
I would say the biggest things are going to be to be unbelievably stubborn, not have any real desire to quit because you can pivot, you can make changes, but uh, a dogged level of determination is almost a necessity because not everything is going to go exactly to plan. You're going to have to make adjustments on the fly and pivot.
Mm.
I would say the second one is to also make sure that that vision that you have a clear plan in place to execute it. Because no matter how good your idea is, the execution of the idea is going to be the most important part.
Yeah.
Uh, I can tell you from experience the hard way that the greatest idea in the world, if you make an error in how you lay out everything, you're not going to get as far as you should have. And then the third part is going to be, I would say the third one is probably to make sure that those employees that you recruited previously, that you have full buy-in from them, and that if you have to part with equity, a small amount, for example, to help incentivize them and show them that they're an important part of almost like an early stage partner that you're in this together. Do
Mm.
everything in your power to make sure your employees know that they're appreciated and they're valued because you can't build it all on your own. Uh,
Yeah.
Sometimes when you're very new to this whole process, you want to think you can do everything on your own and you want to think you're superhuman. I have also done that the hard way. And
Mhm.
as badly as you want to think that you're Superman, it doesn't work like that. So
That's a good one. So, Jason, you use the word a hard way, so that pushed me to ask you a hard question. Now, are you ready?
I was born ready.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. This is good. I like this attitude. So here's the question. As you said, so many hardware, those are very costly lessons we have in our life. So, you know, that's what the hard way mean for people who are watching this. So what's the single most professional failure you had in your life you like to share with us? And what did you learn from that and how did you recover from it?
Actually, the hardest one is probably uh, I moved from traditional entrepreneurship into doing consulting work, and I didn't automate my lead flow,
Mm.
so had some health problems. Leads dried up. My finances were off a cliff, and that was the same time that I decided to try to look for work again, and that's when I got defrauded,
Mm.
and my life literally went off a cliff, and that eventually led to bankruptcy and losing everything. And yeah, I got to admit that is something that it takes something out of you. It takes something to kind of pick yourself back up because you, when your finances go off a cliff like that, you have a bad tendency to attach your self worth to that. And then it's a matter of realizing that, yes, you got lied to and taken advantage of, and it sucks having to pick yourself back up, but it's either that or just give up. And well, giving up wasn't really an option. So
That's thank you so much. It's a great. I appreciate being vulnerable and sharing with us so we can learn. So, there's a lot of lessons in this one. So let's talk about your podcast. So tell us more about your broken unicorns, how you're helping people in this case, and how people can outreach to you.
The way Broken Unicorns works is we are a platform for allowing you to both talk about your business as well as learn uh, the process of strategizing business growth. I provide insights on there solo, but I've also had a couple of guests already. Planning on more guests as well. And then I've got a couple potential names that I'm recruiting that hopefully I can get them on the hook. So that's something to look forward to in the future. But the real focus of Broken Unicorns is to be a, a hub and avenue so that people can both learn and be entertained and just have a platform to help them with their business growth. And
Mhm.
then eventually, I want to build that out into a larger entrepreneurship brand. The main website for Broken Unicorns, brokenunicorns.com, is also accepting blog posts, as well as our parent media site, wibbits.com. So if you want to write content for either one of those and have a open avenue to publish on, we are accepting submissions open.
Wonderful. What's the website address right now? wibbets.com. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So you go ahead and visit and check that out, and I'm sure you will learn a lot from that and get engaged with our guest Jason Baudendistel. So, Jason, we are about to wrap up. I like to ask a question to a guest to make sure I get the feedback for my program because I will love to improve. I'm a student mentally. So here's the question I asked. That's like a review or testimonial for the program. What would you say to your best friend about a growth hacking secret show when I'm not there?
I would say that it's been a really interesting experience that I think the show has value as far as providing that insight, and that hopefully people come watch my episode and then come check out either Wibbits.com or BrokenUnicorns.com and want to potentially come write content for us and have a place that they can let their voice be heard.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. Words. As we are about to wrap up, what would you say as a final word?
Final thing would be feel free to check out the content we already have at Wibbits.com or to write for either one of our main sites. Also, if you want to potentially have some help with writing content for your business, I did launch a second venture not too long ago called drafthd.com. And we write content for any business type. We're willing to work with most budgets. So feel free to go to drafthd.com, fill out the form, and submit a request to have content written for you. And we'll be back in touch to discuss your needs as far and as well as what we can do for you within your budget.
Wonderful. Thank you. With that, Jason, we like to wrap up and say thank you so much, Jason Borden Distil, the host of the Broken Unicorns podcast, for sharing your wisdom with us today on the behalf of a Growth Hacking Secrets community and our entire team. We really appreciate you. This is Muhammad Siddique signing off from Atlanta, Georgia. Until the next episode, all good wishes.